Hey everyone, this is Annie from the Kawartha Art Gallery on our 4th episode of Projects for Kids 11 to 13. I'm going to be showing you how to make a paddle boat. This project will use the power of physics in order to have our boat actually be able to move on its own. You will need cardstock, cardboard, or foam, any of them work, and we're going to be using the scissors to cut it out. A plastic container, I'm using a small Tupperware container. Make sure to make it a bit smaller so that it will be easier to set everything up. 3 elastics, 2 big ones and 1 small one. The small one, make sure it's stretchy because it'll be easier to wind up. And 2 pencils or popsicle sticks, either of them work. And remember, we also need a body of water for our boat to go in. First, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take one of your big rubber bands and tie it around the boat. I double looped it here just to make it a bit tighter. As you can see, I'm struggling to get it on because it's so tight. And then you're going to want to take your pencils or your popsicle sticks, and you're going to want to thread them on both sides. And make sure the end is sticking out, because the end is where we're going to attach our small elastic later. There. And we're going to be doing that one more time. Now I'm taking my second elastic, and we're going to be tying it closer to the top this time. And this is just for balance, because when we stick on our paddle part of the paddle boat, it'll be a lot heavier on the end. And I'm just going to say it again. Remember to keep the top shorter and keep a lot of space on the bottom. So now you're going to want to look at that space and try to measure how tall it is, because we're going to be cutting out whatever shape you want, a square or a circle. As you can see, I've lined it up so that it's tall enough. And you're going to want to trace out a shape. You'll want 2 of them. As I'm doing with my pencil, I made a square here, and I'm just using a ruler just to make sure that it's very even. And you want to make sure the squares are about the same length, because if they're not, then your boat is going to go in circles instead of going in a straight line. I mean, if you want circles, then go ahead and make it uneven though. And now we're just going to cut out our shapes. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure and draw a line from the center of your shape to the outside, just halfway, and you're going to want to cut. Remember, only cut halfway. And it should be almost exactly half, so I recommend getting a ruler. And the reason why we made those half cuts is because now your pieces should slot together. See, it takes a little bit of, jigging it around and stuff until it works, but you want them to slot together very evenly. And if it doesn't work out too well, you might want to make a little bit of a wider cut. See, and now I have sort of a fan-looking shape. And now we're going to want to take our small elastic and just stick it onto the end here, and get that little fan shape we made, and sort of attach it, only attach half of it, if you see what I'm doing here. Yeah, as you can see, I've attached just half of it on top and half on the bottom. So now we can wind it up. And just like that, we have our paddle boat, basically. And I'm winding it up backwards, because once we release it, it'll go push the boat forward. So you don't believe that it works? Here's a little video of it. and if it doesn't go too fast, I recommend winding it up a lot more. So now that our paddle boat is made, let's ask ourselves, how does it move on its own? Well, this all has to do with energy, which you might know as something you get from eating a lot of sugar. But did you know that it's also stored in objects as well? That's right, when we wind up the paddle boat, the energy our hand uses to do that is then given to the boat. So now the boat has what's called potential energy, which in easy terms is stored energy, which makes sense because we know the elastic wants to unravel. And once we let go, that potential energy changes into kinetic energy, which means energy that's happening through motion, which is how our boat ends up moving across the water. Hey, thanks for watching! This is the 4th episode of a series of 5, so stay tuned for our very last one tomorrow. And if you haven't, go watch the other ones. Kids and parents, if you did this experiment, then take a quick picture of it, email it to this email address along with the child's name, age, and title of the video you watched, and we will post it on the Kawartha Art Gallery website and social media so that you can see your own projects featured online.